there. Welcome to this special program by the Department of Public Information. I am Fariza Hanif, and today we will be discussing Venezuela's decision to rejoin the case at the International Court of Justice. And joining me on this program is the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Hugh Todd. Minister, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I want to get straight into the discussion. So we saw earlier this week that Venezuela decided to rejoin the case at the ICJ, and the Ghana government welcomed that decision. I want you to explain for us, if you can, for the benefit of our audience, what this means and what the next steps are.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's a very welcome decision by the people of Ghana for the fact that the Venezuelan government has filed their rejoinder to our response. As you're aware, we've gone through 4 stages of filings. Firstly, we would have filed our memorial, giving the merits of the case in terms of our arguments. Venezuela would have submitted their counter memorial. We would have done our response to their counter memorial, and now Venezuela has submitted their rejoinder to our response. So this completes the filings. The stage for all of the filings of all of the arguments. Now, what this will do now is allow for, well, there's a recess because it's August.
Yeah.
The court will then deliberate on the submissions. Then we'll have the arguments, and the court will then proceed to look at the facts of the case. And you will have a final judgment that is authoritative and cannot be contested. And this is the highest court, the International Court of Justice. So it's very pleasing for us that Venezuela has completed that filing of their rejoinder. As you're aware, we have endured 63 years of Venezuela's spurious claim to our territory. And matter of fact, it did not begin with the claim to our land and maritime space. It began with with them contesting the validity of the 1899 arbitral award.
Correct.
Which was complete, final, and perfect. So we have followed the letter and spirit of the 1966 Geneva Agreement. We've had 27 years of mediation, good offices. We've even had an enhanced mediation. We've exhausted every possible option within the confines of the Geneva Agreement. So the decision that we would have made in 2014 to proceed to the next stage, which is to approach the Secretary General of the United Nations to determine the next phase to bring a final resolution to the matter, was dealt with. Of course, Venezuela would have contested to the extent that they had said that the International Court of Justice had no jurisdiction to hear the case. We went through that process. The court ruled that they had jurisdiction to hear the case. They further went on to say that the case is not admissible to the court because of the parties involved. The court went on to rule that no, the parties can hear the case. And they still said that, they're not going to abide by any ruling of the case, of the court. However, they have participated in their submissions of their filings. However, we've seen over the last 3 to 4 years that Venezuela they have been acting in a very unfriendly manner, if I can put it that way. They have had incursions in our territory, land and air and sea. They have ratcheted up the rhetoric, and they have been trying their best to frustrate the process in the court. We have held very firmly to our position that we are committed to the International Court of Justice and that we will not have any discussions with Venezuela with regards to the case. We have made it very clear to Venezuela that we will have any other discussion that can promote good neighborly relations, because as you're aware, there are many other matters that we need to discuss and still need to discuss because we are permanent neighbors.
Correct.
And we felt that in order to ensure that we have good neighborly relations, that we had presented to Venezuela that we can work and collaborate in combating transnational organized crime. We can treat with migration. We can partner in areas of trade, commerce. Venezuela has not supported those I should say they
offers
not supported the
friendly.
offers that we have presented to them, and we have been very, very, very open to discussions with Venezuela.
Hence the Argyle Declaration.
Yeah, hence the Argyle Declaration. The fact that we still maintain an embassy in Caracas headed by an ambassador, as you're aware, Ambassador Vargas Charles. Venezuela still maintains an embassy here in Guyana, headed by an ambassador as well. So we've been working to ensure that we keep this zone, the Americas, a zone of peace. We're committed to that. And we have always participated in all of the regional organizations, in CELAC, the OAS, to ensure that we promote this region as a zone of peace. We know and we are convinced that the case before the court is properly placed, and we have always asked Venezuela to participate. There is no doubt that the 1899 arbitral award is final, perfect, and complete. We have gone through the rigor to ensure that our boundaries were clearly defined, and we can go all the way back to 1905 when we had the mixed commission. The tri-junction point was demarcated, which included Venezuela. So we have Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, British Guyana at that time. So everything was clearly defined. Venezuela was very happy with the award of the 1899 arbitral award. They were very happy with what they got out of it. They went to their Congress. It was well promoted. So they have enjoyed the award for 62 years before in 1962 when the spurious claim came about, and they've never been able to show any credible evidence to show that this award was invalid.
Correct.
Never. But of course, we were moving towards independence. At that time, the British would have agreed to sign the Geneva Agreement in 1966. So we inherited the Geneva Agreement. And we have always, as a nation, as a country, we've always committed to the rule of international law. We've always complied with the Geneva Agreement, and we've always complied with international law. So where we are now as a nation, I think it's very good, because we've had successive governments, diplomats, and by extension the people of Guyana having to deal with this claim from Venezuela, which is invalid. It's not a claim that can stand up to scrutiny.
And over the years, we have been ramping up support to our ministry at the diplomatic level of the international community, and we've seen the support from the ABC countries as well. What more has been done by your ministry to get more support from the diplomatic community?
So we've had a massive campaign, because of course Venezuela has been more vocal on this issue globally, and we started our diplomatic push, visiting capitals and having meetings at the level of heads of state, at the level of the foreign minister, diplomats. We have been on the move, going about ensuring that we can sensitize other nation states as to the meaning of this case, because we could not assume that everyone knows. Every nation state is looking after their own self-interest. So we have had to be very proactive, and we have been very successful. I can tell you that most of the world's economies are on the side of the international law, not on the side of Guyana, on the side of international law, and we're on that side. And we've gotten very, very strong support from our traditional partners. The United States of America is solidly in our corner. You'd have seen recently the visit of the Secretary of State and what he would have said in terms of support for Guyana, the level of the ICJ. So we have been doing everything as a people and as a nation state to ensure that we comply with the rule of international law. And we have been using diplomacy to ensure that we can communicate and participate within the international system to ensure that our voices are heard and that we are properly placed. We are confident that the international community is very much aware of the case, and we are also confident that they are very pleased with the fact that we have completed all of the filings with the recent filing of Venezuela with their rejoiner.
Minister, you alluded earlier to unfriendly acts by Venezuela, especially these past few years. Some regard it as acts of aggression as well. And they have not made it a secret that they're threatening our territorial integrity and sovereignty. Are there any other concerns that you have as the Minister of Foreign Affairs relating to our territorial integrity and sovereignty?
Yes, we've been very cautious, because we know that Venezuela would use any attempt to derail the case before the ICJ, and they will explore every opportunity possible or available to them, to the extent that they may even use non-state actors to threaten our sovereignty and territorial integrity. But as you asked that question, I'm encouraged to inform you that only recently we found out that the Mohammeds have been frequently visiting the Venezuelan embassy here in Georgetown. Now, you can recall that we've had congressmen in the United States of America who have been very vocal in connecting the Mohammeds to Nicolas Maduro and his regime, particularly as it relates to smuggling and the sanctions that have been placed on Venezuela, gold smuggling, that is, and money laundering. So I think that is of concern to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Government of Guyana, and of course it will be of a grave concern to the people of Guyana, because we see that as a move that connects what the congressmen in the United States have been saying with the action of the Mohammeds here more recently in Georgetown. So I had summoned the ambassador to a meeting,
The Venezuelan
ambassador, and he confirmed that the Mohammeds visited the embassy to apply for visas to go to Venezuela, specifically Caracas. So that is of concern to us, because we can see, or we can follow that a pattern now that has been evolving, and I think that is a concern to us as a people and as a nation, because that can pose a threat to our sovereignty, particularly this particular moment that we have our regional and national elections. And we know that we've seen previously that you can have foreign interference, and of course we have to ensure that we are very cautious, because we cannot rule out any attempt by Venezuela to use any option available to derail our electoral process. And of course, if it is clear that the Mohammeds are close to Nicolas Maduro and his regime, that can pose a serious threat to our sovereignty, and it can also affect our relations with the United States and our traditional partners. So I think it is of grave concern to us as a people and as a nation.
Thank you, Minister Todd. And for our viewers and our listeners, thank you for joining us on this program. My name is Fariza Hanif.